Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Chat EbT. I'm your host, Mohamed Ebrahim Tayob. Now, we've spoken a lot about business, entrepreneurship, but one of the things I've been dying to talk about is careers and helping people choose their right careers, helping people take the right first steps. And I'm very happy to say that my guests today are going to share a little bit of insight with us on that step and on taking this first step of the journey. I'd like to welcome to Chat EbT two exceptional young ladies, the directors of Rising Females in STEM, Fatima and Luvhone. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
us.
you for the invite, Mohamed.
No, it's absolutely my pleasure. So before we get into the organization, before we get into Rising Females, as I understand it, you both are actuarial scientists. Now, I know when most people hear that word, it's quite a scary term, right? It's quite a scary sort of career choice. I know we always think of it as, wow, that's the different level, right? Tell us, how did you get into the actuarial world? What was your choice and drive into choosing this as your career path?
Of course. So I suppose our the deliverance through it or our path through it would differ substantially. But from my perspective, I actually was meant to be a doctor. And
Okay.
yeah, so I applied for medicine because I had a keen passion for helping people and serving communities, and I had a very soft spot for healing people.
Mm-hmm.
And I applied for medicine. I made sure I got the marks, got the community service hours in. And then my path just took a turn when I was working at a clinic when I was in matric. And I felt like I was too emotionally connected to my patients. I couldn't draw that line to say this is a patient, almost patient and almost help role. So when I was taking all of those cases personally, that you can't help everybody, you can't heal everybody, people are going to pass away, at your hand, it was too much emotional, it was too emotionally heavy for me. And I almost researched, good roles in corporate. And I said, what's the thing that's upcoming? What's something that intersects, academic excellence with positive change? And that's how I found actuarial science. Never knew anybody that did it before, but decided to go in and say, let's be a pioneer.
Wow, that's amazing. That's very interesting. And one of the things I love touching on, and it comes out a lot in a lot of our episodes, is that ability to pivot, right? And I think that's something that's very overlooked. I think a lot of people, feel like, okay, I've chosen this sort of career path, I've got to follow through. Like you mentioned, you did the community hours, you made sure you get the results, and I think a lot of people would have been like, okay, now I can't give up on this now.
Yes.
But really commend you on that, is that, realizing that, what, this might not be for me for whatever reason it might be, but then that ability to sort of pivot and, go on to that next step of the journey.
Yeah, and the only thing that fueled that pivot, and what's very important that I'd like to get across, is knowing what you're getting yourself into. So for me, it was going to the clinics, it was seeing patients. Even though I was not a professional, I was job shadowing, I was assisting, I was, giving my time and saying, what is this? In the government hospitals, other people may be cut out for it, they may be, emotionally stronger or able to make that segregation. But you need to know what you're getting yourself into. And that's why I'm really happy that you're having this podcast and you're creating the awareness that people need to know what they're going to be doing for the rest of their lives. And I mean, being 17, 18, it's a tough call.
Yeah, no, definitely. I fully agree. I want to touch on that a little bit more, but before we get to that, Luvhone, if you don't mind sharing with us your inspiration of, the actuarial world.
Interesting enough, I also wanted to become a doctor at some point in time.
Okay.
So I grew up wanting to become a doctor. And then when I got to matric, unfortunately, I failed Afrikaans. And then as a result of failing Afrikaans, my application for medicine were not successful. Then I went and do a different degree. It was BSc in biochemistry and physiology. And then ultimately I was hoping that maybe I can get back into medicine. Then when I was doing my first degree, the BSc in biochemistry and human physiology, I realized that actually I am a maths person and I was not happy in that degree. Then I started doing research about careers that will allow me to continue applying maths. I enjoyed maths. I was actually very strong in maths in my high school. Then I started doing research. I think I was doing second year BNc in biochemistry and physiology. I was doing second year, yes, when I started doing research about actuarial science. And then I think also at that point in time, what was important to me was financial security and unemployment. Because unemployment rate in South Africa is very, very high, right? I did not want to find myself struggling to get a job when I graduate. And also at the same time, I've seen people that move from internship to internship because they can't get a permanent role. I did not want to find myself in that basket. Then I started doing research about careers that have maths at the same time and low unemployment rate. And actuarial science popped up. It was advertised as that career where if you enjoy mathematics, you will definitely thrive in it. And unemployment rate is very, very low. And then also when I was doing research, I found out that there's very, very few Black qualified actuaries. And if you look at females, to be specific, it's even very low. I think at that point in time, they were plus minus 50. And I was like, I definitely want to be part of this small community. So actuarial science it is for me, but I'm going to finish my first degree.
Well, you touched on such an important topic there, right? In the aspects of unemployment. And I think it's something, again, I know I use this word a lot, but I think it's something that's really overlooked. We've seen, especially in recent years, a lot of, new career paths coming about, especially, with things like green initiatives and, stuff like that. And there's a lot of careers that people want to go into, but they go through the hard work, they get their university degree, and then there's absolutely no jobs available. I've heard stories of people that have literally, after they finished studying, waited for 1 or 2 years before they could get a job. And obviously it's very difficult to break into the market because people want, work experience and at an entry level, and it's always a sort of conundrum. And I'm really glad you touched on that because I think what you did is exceptional. A lot of people don't do that, is seeing, okay, what is the job scope out there once I finish this journey? But more importantly, how do I get a job once I finish this journey?
Absolutely.
I love the point that you spoke about in the aspect of at the age of 17 and 18, we make this decision that sort of shapes our entire lives.
Exactly.
I'm very passionate about this subject, simply because I actually was one of those people, right? I'm going to go back even further. I made the decision to take on the role I made the decision to become a CA in grade 5.
Wow.
Right? I always love telling this story. And here's the thing is, somebody told me that, CA is the best career to go into. You're always going to have job safety. You're going to make a lot of money. It's the best thing to go into. And I heard that from quite a few people. One day when we were in grade 5 in school, we had a substitute teacher. And I think it was the last subject of the day. Nobody really wanted to do any work. And so we were in grade 5. The teacher just went, what does everybody want to do when they grow up? And somebody said doctor, somebody said lawyer, somebody said pilot. And I shouted out chartered accountant. And the teacher went, who said that? And I went, that was me. And she was like, brilliant, I love it. And that sort of solidified the idea of, okay, this is what I want to do. Similarly, I applied for 1 degree at 1 university, and that was, I had no backup plan. I had absolutely nothing. And, luckily, yes, everything worked out. But the flaw in this plan, and I'm glad that you brought it up, is that I had absolutely no idea what ACA did for a living. I heard the term. I knew it was something to do with numbers and accounting. I had absolutely no idea what a CA did. And although I'm still working in this field, I'm still working in this industry, it's something that I found quite challenging because a lot of times I find my personality clashes a lot with this sort of career choice that I chose. And why I say I'm passionate about it is because, again, you went and did a little bit of, whether it's back work or interning or anything like that, and got a feel for it. But I feel like a lot of people don't do that, me included. We make these huge decisions in our life that's going to impact the rest of our life, our family, our children. And some of us like me, go into it with closed eyes.
Yeah.
So I fully agree with you. At the age of, grade 5 or even a little bit older, at 17 and 18,
Yeah.
we didn't really know what we were doing.
Exactly. And I think also it was that validation that you got immediately when your teacher said, great choice.
Yes.
It's that professional and that academic validation that may not align with your passions or your personality. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here to talk about it. And we're here to almost prompt people to say, if you have kids in school or kids in university, ensure that it aligns with their passions and what they're going to want to do for the rest of their life. Yes, it may be a solid career path, but does it make you happy? And they say if you're happy in what you do, you don't actually work a day in your life.
I
So,
fully agree. So speak to us a little bit about, I really want to talk a little bit more about rising females, or other rising females in STEM, right? What was the inspiration behind starting this organization, and how did you guys get involved?
Rising Females in STEM is an organization that focuses on inspiring and uplifting females in STEM. Its main objective is to inspire the girl child to consider pursuing a career in STEM, and for those that are already in STEM, provide them with the right support to retain them and make sure that they thrive in STEM. We do this through an outreach program that is aimed at raising awareness at different schools, both at primary and high school level. Our aim is just to raise more awareness around careers in STEM and share resources such as prospectus with students, and also go with different role models to just inspire the girl child. And then for those that are already in a career in STEM, that's where our main focus is, just to provide them with the right support to retain them there, and we do that through our mentorship program.
Brilliant. Absolutely love that. And I think I always feel like this about this show, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way, is that, you use the word inspire, which I love, in the aspect of even if we can just inspire one person, that just makes all the difference in the world.
Actually, my dad likes to use a quote. He says, you're adding a drop in an ocean, slowly but surely it's going to make a difference.
Well, you guys both have very, very wise fathers. I just want to say the Bentley comment, and then that's excellent. I love that. Brilliant. Very, very wise words. Perfect. And as I understand, Fatima, you came on a little bit later.
Yeah.
Tell us about your experience and, coming across the organization and then wanting to join.
So I was absolutely intrigued by Luvhone's idea behind Rising Females in STEM, because it almost coupled getting the information across, but starting at grassroots level. So going out to schools in previously disadvantaged communities, taking them from school, enticing them to get into university. I'll share a very quick story. I had a primary school learner call me through Rising Females in STEM, got my number through the organization, and said, Fatima, I love mathematics and I'm so good at it, but my dad says I can't make money, and I'm in a township and I can't make money from mathematics. And I said, girl, do I have a story for you? So for me, when I had that goosebumps moment and that girl called me and we had a chat and we had a plan, and I could hear how passionate she was about mathematics, making a change, driving her community forward with her. And I said, this is for me, because this is almost like the medicine aspect or the medical aspect that I wanted, where you can actually help people, get them out of this situation and change their lives through education. And Luvhone and her team at the time of independent, female, academically driven, exceptional woman came together and said, we're going to change whatever we touch, we're going to try and change for the better.
If you don't mind me asking, so in the aspect of, we spoke a little bit about the young girl story that you mentioned. You were mentioning goosebumps, by the way. I've got them right now. Hearing that story, amazing story, that. And brilliant, that. Do you think the awareness is more needed at sort of like a very young youth level? Or do you think it is sort of more needed in that early university stage where people are choosing that sort of different directions?
And I think awareness and almost thinking about your future should be throughout. So at a young age, you almost identify what you enjoy, as you get older, you need to craft a plan around that. And people need to be more intentional about their decisions. It shouldn't just be for pristine or prestige or what your family wants you to do or what society expects you to do. You should make an informed decision. And I think that starts quite early on. And that's why our outreach almost supports education, broad spectrum, at a young age, creates that idea. We're planting seeds at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to water them and you need to nurture them. You need to give them more information, tell them how they can go about doing this. Because if you start too late, there's a thing as it's too late.
Yeah.
Because they can say we didn't get the results, we didn't apply in time. How many young, talented men and women, say 17, 18, 19, are telling us we didn't apply in time, we're losing a year. This is what we want to do. We didn't know the application dates. We didn't know the requirements. It has to be informed. And in this age of information, I think it's so important to have an informed decision. It's accessible. You know, we have organizations to support. You just need to look in the right places, contact the right people. I think it's available.
No, fully agree. Luvhone, you mentioned obviously you were one of the founders of this organization. What was your vision for it when you started? And now we at today, what's the vision going forward?
I think when we started it back then in 2021, the main vision was to get more girls in STEM careers. But not only get more girls in STEM careers, but also provide them with the right support to retain them and make sure that they thrive. Obviously not face the challenges that we faced in university or in the workplace, but make their journey much easier than what we faced throughout. I think as it stands now, the vision is still the same. We've done a lot of work. We've been doing a lot of outreaches. Also had university chapters at the University of Johannesburg, and we're hoping to start one at the University of Witwatersrand, they say. Yes, and hopefully expand it more into more universities. And I think in the next 10 to 15 years, yeah, we should see more girls in STEM and confident in STEM than we were.
No, I think I love the point that you made there, and it's not only about giving them that information about the career that they want to go into, but ensuring that you assist them in thriving in that career. And I think a lot of places fall short on that in the essence of, oh, okay, let's put people on the right path, and then when they get there, they sort of leaderless in a way, don't know which direction to take, and then that unfortunately results in struggles or them not succeeding. So I think, as you mentioned as well, it's an ongoing process. It's not just, hey, let's give this career counseling about this are great careers to go into, and this is what you need to do that, but essentially going that extra step and say, okay, now how do we make sure you not only get into that career path that you want to, but you succeed in it?
Exactly.
What message would you like people to take away from this interview? Let's start with you.
Of course. I think the key message that I'd like to land is think with purpose and think strategically, as Luvhone mentioned, about your future, and use your time wisely. Make the right decisions for the rest of your life. Do the research. Don't glaze over it. Invest the hours and make the right choices in the future that you'd like to have. If it requires a pivot, if you're facing failure, if it requires starting fresh, if somebody's in school and is still thinking about a career, start reading up now. Start the journey already. Failure is not final, and I would prompt every person listening, no matter where they are, no matter what they're doing, to follow their passion, and with that passion, build their Bentley and drive it forward. I mean, don't give up, no matter what you're doing.
No, absolutely correct.
I
Luvhone?
like the Bentley. Okay. For me, I think I have a message for high school learners. And for me, that will be they must do research as early as possible. And upon doing research and deciding on what it is that they want to become, they need to work very, very hard to make sure that when they get to grade 12, they meet the minimum requirements to pursue the degree that they have chosen. And for those that maybe feel that they've chosen the wrong degree or wrong career, to be specific, I want to say it's not too late to change. You can always go back. And it's very important that you believe in yourself. If you want to change direction and go back and pursue a different qualification and people are telling you otherwise, it's very important for you to know what's in the heart. If your heart is saying go for it and trust your instinct and you'll turn out to be fine.
Brilliant. So we've recently started a bit of a tradition on this podcast, right? And the tradition we have is that our last guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who the next guest is or anything, what they do. So before I ask you the next question, our last guest actually spoke a lot about our responsibility to the nation and building the nation up, right? So the question that was there for you two ladies is, what is your purpose and how does that serve into the national purpose?
Thank you. That's a very profound question. And we love difficult questions because I feel like it'll reach many people and it'll almost perhaps ignite ideas or ignite something in the hearts of people to drive forward positive change, and that speaks to my purpose. My purpose is to serve humanity and to help as many people as I can. And that ties back to my religion because we were created to serve Allah, to serve God. And in serving Him, He has instructed us to be philanthropists, to do for each other, and to make this world an easier place for everybody. And so how that ties in with our national mission is the national mission is to get people to a place where they're okay, to put it very simply. To get people to be okay. And if you're okay, get better. And I feel it's a very prospective view and it's a view of momentum and it's a view of acceleration forward. And I think that's very important. And that's what I stand firm for. Betterment, driving forward, upliftment. If a person's in a township, I want to get them out. If a person's struggling with finding education, I want to get them in an institution. If they're in an institution and can't find a job, I will mentor them and help them prepare for interviews. We have countless videos where we post them on YouTube and we say, this is how you sit for an interview. This is how you develop your CV. Get out, get out of the trenches. You don't belong there. Nobody belongs there. And that's firm to our national mission, which I firmly believe if the government can actually act on the Constitution and act on its values, I believe it can move forward. It can put funding in the right place. That's a conversation for a different day. But you hear me, that progressive nature, if that energy can come through, we feel it end to end. We have the energy. We want to ignite that energy in somebody else and say, I'm going to either get myself out the gutter or lift somebody else up out of it. And that's how I'd answer that question.
No, I love that and completely agree with you. I think if everybody just does that little bit extra, and it'll just make the world of difference.
Exactly.
100%. Luvhone?
With me, it's actually a very short answer. I think my purpose aligns with the meaning of my name. My name means light, so I always tell myself that I'm meant to bring positivity, light in every situation, basically. And that's what I strive to live by. I think that's my purpose.
Brilliant.
And Luvhone does it brilliantly. She walks into a room of 600 kids, dead silence, and they want to hear everything she has to say. So I think she's bringing the light.
I fully agree with you. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. I gotta say, I really love this cause that you guys are pushing forward. I think it's phenomenal. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of everybody where I say I can't wait to see more. I can't wait to see how you guys carry on this journey. And I really hope that the organization just builds from success to success. So thank you, firstly, for all the work that you guys are doing. Really commend you, and I wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely,
it's
my
an
pleasure.
absolute pleasure.
All right, that's our show. Thank you once again for joining us for another episode of Chat EBT. Some great insight from two phenomenal young ladies who are just creating so much awareness around a very difficult concept for a lot of young people that are looking at starting their lives. Once again, my name is Mohamed Ebrahim Tayob. You're watching Chat EBT. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and of course, join the conversation. Until next time.